Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. We're throwing it all the way back to the sweltering summer of 2010, Pretoria, South Africa, the World Cup group stage. We've got Spain, we've got Chile, and the stakes? Absolutely massive. This wasn't just your standard run-of-the-mill group match, it was a total pressure cooker where every single touch, every single pass literally carried the weight of a nation's tournament survival.
The broadcaster said it best right before kickoff with this quote: "Both these sides will be hoping they'll be a step closer to competing for that in the final, but one of these teams might well be going out." That perfectly captures the suffocating tension hanging over the stadium. Look, both of these powerhouses were eyeing the final in July, but the underlying math was ruthless. Depending on the next 90 minutes, one of these giants could be sent packing. The margin for error was exactly zero.
Which brings us to Section 1, high stakes on the pitch, a confusing setup and early nerves.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the wild visual anomaly right as the players walked out. If you were tuning in at home, you were probably rubbing your eyes. Spain, the iconic La Roja, were completely decked out in blue. Meanwhile, Chile takes the pitch wearing red shirts and blue shorts, literally the exact colors we usually associate with the Spanish FUAD. Spain was technically the away team here, so they had to swap. It just added this weird, disorienting layer to an already crazy tense atmosphere.
And right out of the gate, the pacing was breathless. Sergio Ramos is making these sneaky, surging runs behind the defense. Fernando Torres gets a solid head on the ball but just sails it over the bar. Then, Chilean keeper Claudio Bravo makes a frantic clearance that almost gives Torres an easy tap-in. Down the other end, Alexis Sanchez spots Iker Casillas slightly off his line and tries this cheeky little chip, but Casillas, showing that elite veteran poise, backpedals and palms it away. And right in the middle of all this chaos, Marco Estrada picks up an early yellow for sliding hard into Busquets. The pot was boiling over fast.
Section 2. Spain capitalizes on chaos. A goalkeeper's nightmare and a maestro's touch. 30. Keep that number locked in your head. 30 yards, because that is the unbelievable distance from which this game was completely broken wide open. Here's the setup. It's the 24th minute. Claudio Bravo is forced way out of his box to clear a dangerous ball, and he gets caught totally stranded. The ball falls right to David Villa. Now remember that 30 yards? Villa takes it from there and hits this spectacular curling strike straight into an empty net. Yes, it was an absolute gift from Bravo, but man, you still have to have ice in your veins to hit the target from that far out. And with that beauty, Villa actually became Spain's all-time leading World Cup scorer. Just incredible.
But the chaos wasn't even close to being done. 13 minutes later, we get this completely game-altering sequence. Step 1. Torres goes down hard after his heels are clipped just outside the box. Step 2. The ref sees it but brilliantly plays the advantage because Spain is still in a prime attacking spot. Step 3. Andrés Iniesta gets the ball and cleanly slices it into the net for 2-0. Step 4. While Spain is celebrating, the ref goes back, pulls out a second yellow for Marco Estrada, and boom, Chile is suddenly down to 10 men.
You have to hear the live call on this. The broadcaster just shouted, "Delightful, absolutely delightful, sweet as candy from Andrés Iniesta." I mean, that captures the sheer magic of it, right? Spain was just unpicking the Chilean defense like a master locksmith.
Of course it's the World Cup, so we've got controversy. The broadcast analysts looking at the replay pointed out that Estrada wasn't even looking at Torres when their heels clipped. They called that second yellow card very harsh, thinking Estrada was super unlucky to get sent off for an accidental tangle. But at the same time, they highly praised the ref for having the awareness to play the advantage so Iniesta's goal could stand. The call stood, and the whole landscape of the match shifted permanently.
So we head into the second half. Section 3. A red card and resilience. 10 men fighting back.
Now ask yourself, how would Chile respond down a man in the second half? Usually, against a squad as technically gifted as Spain, playing with 10 men just means parking the bus, trying to survive, and limiting the damage, right?
Well, Chile had other plans. Literally 2 minutes after the break, they claw their way right back into it. They bring on super sub Rodrigo Millar, who immediately rips his shot from outside the box. The ball takes this massive, wicked deflection off Gerard Piqué's leg, totally changing direction, and Casillas is left hopelessly stranded. Just like that, a 10-man Chile claws their way back to make it 2-1. Talk about injecting pure adrenaline into the stadium.
Which brings us to the final act, Section 4, advancing to the knockouts, the final whistle, and the math.
And this brilliantly illustrates the timeline of the madness. 3 explosive moments define the scoreboard. Villa's 30-yard opportunistic strike in the 24th, Iniesta's chaotic slice in the 37th, and then Miller's deflected wonder strike in the 47th. After that frantic start to the second half, the entire dynamic of the game flipped.
As we creep into the last 10 minutes, man, it felt like an absolute eternity. Spain knew they were in the driver's seat, so they reverted to their bread and butter. They just possessed the ball. Fabregas, Xavi, Iniesta, these maestros are just stringing together delicate little chips, passing it around, totally neutralizing the clock to protect that lead. Agonizing tension. When the dust finally settled, Spain took the 2-1 victory, locking in their spot in the knockouts. But look at the post-match status. The body language on the pitch was wild. Despite losing, the Chilean players were celebrating too. By keeping it close with 10 men, their goal difference held up. During the handshakes, it dawned on both squads. They had survived the brutal math of the group stage. They were both going through.
So, here's something to think about. When the final whistle blows, and you've survived 90 minutes of chaotic mistakes, harsh penalties, and sheer brilliance on the world's biggest stage, what does it teach us about resilience under ultimate pressure? Whether it's David Villa staying ice cold from 30 yards out, or a 10-man Chile absolutely